If you are running a B2B business model, you know that the biggest bottleneck in sales is generating leads that actually fit your ideal customer profile and your value proposition. Most people either spend hours manually browsing LinkedIn profiles or they just blast out generic DMs and emails to a raw list and hope for the best. But what if every single lead came preloaded with a full company analysis, their recent LinkedIn activity, and custom sales intelligence reports that allows you to filter for your ICP and tailor your outreach to them? I built this exact system in N8N and Apollo. And yes, Apollo still works without an expensive subscription and without Epify actors that have been removed. A system that reduces hours of manual lead gen research down to just 10 minutes for an entire batch of hundreds or even thousands of leads. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the entire system, all the way from setting up Apollo to search for your ideal customers, to bulk scraping contacts, to the AI research pipeline that enriches every lead automatically. By the end, you will have a complete and repeatable system that you can build yourself and adjust it to your needs. Hey guys, my name is Steven, and my mission on this channel is to help you apply AI in a way that truly impacts your business. So let's jump right in. So the first step that you want to be doing is to create a targeted and filtered list for your particular ICP. And to start with that, I have created an Airtable database together with an interface that you can easily work with to do exactly that. And that is the control center, the command center for this entire process. So the first step is to create an Apollo query for that. And when you click on that, you will see that I've created an example one here, and I will walk you through step by step how you can do that. In this case, I have created a search query for my own business, Synapse, with the ICP and a target size of 21 to 50 companies. But more on that in a second. Here are some control buttons that I will explain also a little bit later. So let's start with the Apollo search URL. And how this works is you can go to Apollo on their Find People tab. You can register for an Apollo for free. They will not give you all of the details, but that's what the automation will do in a second for a fraction of the cost than expensive Apollo subscriptions. So you go to the People search tab and then narrow down the list with filters all the way that you get like a reasonable number for your strategy. So if you may want to call people directly, you want to limit this down a lot further. If you want to do some personalized outreach via email, you may want to have a much bigger list. That's totally up to you. But for this example, I've created here a few example lists. So let's take the ICP 51 to 100, or even take the 21 to 50 because that's what I used in the previous example. And the first thing is that you want to do is you want to use and set up personas here. And how this works is you can create new personas and then you filter for example, in this case, I'm looking for business owners or founders. So you can include titles like founder, CEO, managing partner, whatever makes sense for you. The department, maybe C-suite, and the management level is, again, as I said, founder and owner. Then in this case, in my case, you can filter down for industries and particular keywords. So I filter for marketing and advertising, agencies, companies in professional training and coaching, in IT and service providers, consulting, you name it. And for the location, I filter for the US, UK, and Switzerland. You then save this persona and apply it. I've also created a bunch more, like heads of marketing and heads of sales, since this is my ICP. For the email status, you want to select verify to make sure that the email addresses that we get out are of high quality. And the company information for that individual is known. Then you can filter on the amount of employees, on the number of employees that are working at this business. So you can control a little bit how much revenue they potentially may generate and what their size is. And you can include and exclude some keywords. For example, I excluded SaaS providers since they're not so manual labor heavy. and all kinds of automation businesses because they're direct competitors. I don't want to target them. And I also don't want to target app creators. What I included in this case is remote work and distributed so that I target more globally spread out businesses. And then what I end up with here is a list of 200 people. And what you then want to do is you want to go to your URL and copy that entire URL, because that basically contains all of the filters that you just created. So we're gonna copy that URL, go back to our interface and paste that one exactly in here. What you want to do in the next step is you want to access these leads and get the entire list that you just filtered for. And Apollo has recently, or there are a lot of tools who do this service, but a lot of them were shutting down. And one tool that I found that still does the trick is the Expert Apollo Lead Scraper. So you just register for them, charge up a bunch of credits. So for 10,000 leads, I think it's around like $40 or $50 or something like that. And then you create a new request with that very URL that you just copied. So you paste that in here with all the filters applied, and then you set some settings here. For example, to only scrape available emails, but we filtered for that before. We also have enabled the email verification from Apollo, but if you're really keen on 100% verified emails, you can include this filter here, which costs a bunch more credits, and so on. And then you click on scrape. What then happens is it takes quite a while, maybe a few hours or so, depending on your system load, to scrape your lead lists. And then you can just download them as a CSV file. The next step that you want to do then is you want to upload this CSV file as a Google Sheet, because from Google Sheets we can easily access the data and integrate them into our Airtable instance. So in this case, I have used this scraped list from before, but just for the sake of speed, reduce this to 9 leads in this case. Back to our interface, you can then just copy and paste the Google Sheets URL into this row. And what you also want to do is, for the following steps, create some context for your business. What your business does, what your ICP is, what your customers' pain points are, some key services that you provide, proven results, case studies, and so on, some differentiators and some models on how clients can work with you. And that will help in the following steps for the creation of the research reports on these scraped leads. The next step then is to scrape actually these leads and get them from the Google Sheet into your Airtable base. And when you push this button, what happens is that this workflow will get triggered. And let's execute that while I'm explaining it to you. So you trigger the workflow execution, a Slack message will get sent out to the channel that the acquisition process started. And what the process here does is it gets all the people already in your system. So it will deduplicate based on the people that are newly integrated and inserted into the system with the ones that exist already before. So in case you did some overlaps in the Apollo search queries, they will get deduplicated and you will only have unique individuals in your system. So if the system finds that this is a new lead, it will create a contact in Airtable, tag it appropriately, and send a Slack message out with how many leads were actually generated. And let's jump back into Airtable and see how that looks like. So we can see now that the lead scrape number went up to 9, our selected sample size for this case. And you can go back either to the overview tab or to the leads scraped view. And then you will see that our individuals are popping up here. There is quite a bunch of data already pre-filled now from Apollo that was scraped. And I'm going to blur this personal data, but you will see essentially that there's a lot of personal information, contact details. The research reports are going to be generated soon. Their LinkedIn and company profile data and so on. The next step is then to start the research process. And we can do that by going back to our Queries tab and push the button Enrich Leads. The system will then go over every single lead that we scraped and trigger an entire research process. So let's check out how this looks like in N8N. Back in N8N, let me execute this manually so that we can follow along. The system now goes through a similar process. It will start with a Slack message that we know that the process starts to run. It will get our query that we just inserted and triggered it from, get all the leads that are associated with this query, and then loop step by step over every single lead. In this case, I've set a batch size of 2, so that just 2 leads are actually getting researched of the 9. And the system will then prepare the input and check if all data is available for that lead research, and then start the actual research process. In this video, I will just go briefly over that. If you're interested in the lead research in detail, check out the previous video that I will just link somewhere here, where I explained this lead research subflow more in depth. But let's take a quick look into the research process. So in the previous video, I explained these first 4 steps, that the personal LinkedIn profile is actually researched, then the most recent posts, the company LinkedIn profile if available, and the company website. And in this step, I have also included the preparation of some manual company data that gets injected into the creation of the company report and the personal report, because we have more data now available from Apollo that we scraped the lead lists from. So we can use that additional data, for example, company revenue and so on, and inject that into the prompts so that we get a little bit more detailed responses. After the research has finished for a particular lead, the data will set as the final output and return back to the main workflow. So let's check out how this looks like. Back in the main workflow, we're still doing some research on the second lead. It usually takes around like 2 minutes or so per lead to research. And as soon as the data arrived, we will update the leads data in Airtable, tag it as executed, and go back to the loop. Execute as long as we have leads to research, and then send out a final Slack message that the step succeeded. So we have finished the research process now. Let's take a look back in Airtable and check the results out. You can see now that the enriched leads are now went up to 2. That's what we have set the batch size for. So if you have hundreds or thousands of leads, you want to eventually manually execute this. We have an execution limit of a maximum of 100 for now, just for the sake of limiting the resources on Epify, the Airtable API, and so on. But if you trigger that, that takes quite a bit of time, around maybe like an hour or 2 to research these, and then you can come back and execute more. The leads will then pop up in the enriched section. So here are our 2 leads. In a nutshell, you can see then when you open the lead that there are the actual research reports on the person and on the company. Again, similar to the video that I showed you before. And from there, you can use these research reports and the gathered data to make highly targeted sales calls for these people, outreach calls. You can use that data again to filter even further by modifying the prompts, including a filtering step to only include highly relevant leads for your campaigns. And in the next video, I'm going to showing you how to create personalized cold outreach email campaigns based on all of the work and the data that we have put in place now. So please hit the like and subscribe button and stay tuned for the next video. As always, you will find the resources, the Airtable base and the JSON N8N blueprint for free download in the description and the links below. No strings attached at all. Thank you very much for listening. Let me know if you have any questions about this in the comments below. I'm trying to get down to all of them. Thank you so much and see you next time.